Let's talk about Headhunter. Hi, by the way, you're looking extra meaty today. So, my thoughts on Headhunter and Magic Find Kinetic Blast. I actually didn't think I would make this video, but I am now watching the Faded podcast, and 3 minutes in, they're talking about Headhunter, and I thought, why not make a video giving my 2 cents about it? Yeah, just putting my opinion out there. I'm sorry for the background gameplay. If it looks a little bit bad, it's from my stream very likely, so bad bitrate, not very high quality. Sorry for that, but, you know, just so you see a little bit of like Magic Find KB gameplay. First, Headhunter feels mediocre. I'm talking specifically about how I put it on with my Lightning Strike character that I have been playing for a long time. It was my league starter, which I have played a very long time for the first few weeks, earned my Headhunter, equipped it, and it felt bad. Keep in mind that was before the patches, you know, when we had 20 seconds and not so many buffs, and things changed obviously very quickly, like 1 or 2 weeks afterwards. But still, the feeling of a Headhunter should make me feel like a god. It's a tier 0 item. It should make you feel incredibly powerful in some way, either super tanky, super powerful, something like this. I got none of that. Not before the patch, and of course not after the patch, which we're mostly talking about, you know, when we have 60 seconds per buff, which is insanely long, right? But still, running my usual maps, which I think at that point were cemeteries, because I like brother stashes, because exalts, I just didn't really feel a difference putting out the Headhunter. Of course, it's a little bit more defense here and there, it's a little bit more damage, right? You do feel that, but it's not like a, oh yeah, I paid 60x for this. Going from no cluster jewel to a cluster jewel of like 10x would feel way more of a difference than Headhunter or no Headhunter. So last league, it obviously felt way stronger because you felt faster and zoomier with it, at least for me. And that is the thing I want, and that is the thing it doesn't give anymore, in my opinion. It doesn't make you zoomy anymore. It doesn't make you fast anymore. It makes you literally unkillable at a certain point, which BalorMage mentioned in the podcast, and it's very true. But the problem is, for this to happen, you must go all in. And that is the second part of this video. You must go all in. You have to abuse all the things to get enough Headhunter buffs, I think around 30 to 40 or more. Otherwise, it doesn't really work with MFKB. I followed Kobe Black Mamba's build, and I like to kind of play the scuffed version of things because I usually can't fully get there with my with currency. So I usually get most of the items, like maybe 60-70%, and then try to work towards the rest. That doesn't really work, and it definitely felt bad at the start. Step by step, I got to a point where I'm like, okay, I feel comfortable. You know, I'm starting to ramp, right? The Headhunter buffs, I start to get them quicker and faster. I have more damage. It felt quite good. But if you don't have Beyond on a map, and the Sextant, and of course the Atlas skill tree, which I had, it's just, you can't really get to 30 Headhunter buffs. It is impossible to me. I don't know how people do it. I was running Crimson Temple maps, you know, and like 20% Delhi, and we're able to do it, right? But of course, there were just some deaths sometimes. Sometimes I died 6 times in a row. That just feels absolutely awful. And I think that's good. I think if I die this many times with a build, maybe this build, how I played, and or this build in general, is just not for me. And that's, I think, just what it comes down to. I think this playstyle just isn't for me. Because if you don't go all in, like all in, not like, I'm gonna do this a little bit later and I'm a little bit lazy. No, you need to go all goddamn in. Otherwise, this thing doesn't work. It just doesn't. And that's sad, because Headhunter should make you feel like a god. Either it feels mediocre with an already good build, because you can't get Headhunter buffs fast enough, or the good ones or whatever, right? Because the build's already good. With Headhunter on it, it's like, cool, I got a 20% boost, it feels like, I don't know, 30% maybe. It's good, it's strong, but it's not like, wow, I'm a god, right? It's more like, okay, kind of cool. If you play the exact opposite, like a glass cannon build, like Magic Find Kinetic Blast, you need to go even more and feed you need to feed pretty much the Headhunter all the buffs it can get, right? All the rare mobs, wherever, left, right, and center, to actually get it properly going. Otherwise, it also feels bad. So you have like these two sides of like, I already have a good build, and with Headhunter, it doesn't become much better. And a bad build, or a very glass cannon build on purpose to abuse Headhunter with all the things around it, with Beyond and blah blah. It's, if you don't go really in, it feels like a curve, right? Like every little step you take, it makes the curve go up way more. So for example, if you run not Beyond on a map, but you have the Sextant, you're a good step towards it, but you aren't fully there yet. You know what I mean? It's all Beyond at the end of the day. Anyways, Beyond dies in PoE 2, don't forget. Oh, that's gonna be so interesting. What will happen to Headhunter when PoE 2 comes out? Anyways, we're gonna talk about that in 2-3 years. Moving on to the last 2 points. I lost currency with Magic Find. So the whole point of running Magic Find is to get an ungodly amount of loot. Like an insanely, like so much loot that it hurts picking it up, you know? You're praying for the auto pickup at that point, which I don't want. But anyways, memes aside, keep in mind, it's a scuffed Magic Find build that I played, but still, I put the entire Atlas skill tree the way it should be, with boosting the small nodes, ignoring the bigger notables. I got all the quantity and all the effect and all the things, and I just felt like I'm not getting any loot back. Of course, I got my Exalt drops like 1 or 2 here and there, but it felt like I'm losing more per hour because I could be doing better stuff. And that is just not a good feeling. Of course, you shouldn't always go by, how much Exalts am I getting? Oh, I'm getting 6x instead of 9x by doing this. This strategy sucks ass. No, it's like, do you enjoy doing this? Then continue doing it. That's great. You should be doing the things in Path of Exile that you enjoy doing. But I didn't really enjoy playing my Glass Cannon build and dying constantly or a lot, which sets me back. Especially with Headhunter, because you lose your Headhunter buffs. And on the other side, if I don't die and actually finish a full map, which sometimes felt pretty fun, you're a big Headhunter guy, you know, and shooting 16 projectiles with kinetic blast, that feels great. But it's like, I'm not seeing loot. Like my inventory is, I don't know, like I have 6 things, like 6 one-slot items in there, like 2 Chaos Orbs and Orb of Horizon or something. And I'm like, what's happening, you know? And keep in mind, this is like first world problems, and I'm in a position where I can play so much Path of Exile. So I was able to now switch to a different build. I made multiple X per day suddenly by just changing my Atlas skill tree, a different build that is more fun and way more tanky, by the way. And I just make multiple X. Like I literally had 2 X drops yesterday, just raw X drops, and I'm like, was I just really unlucky with Magic Find? It felt like I didn't really make currency with Magic Find. It was a scuffed build, right? It was like 50% quantity and I think like 60, 70, 80% rarity or something, right? Like far from what other people play. Like they have 100% quantity and 600% rarity or some crazy stuff, right? I get it. But like we are again at the point of you need to go all goddamn in. Otherwise, it is just worse than a well done build. And fourth, how could they fix it? Well, I would actually ask, should they fix it? People enjoy it, and there's a use case for it, right? Like, people enjoy playing these Magic Find builds, and Headhunter is kind of like a massive band-aid. It pretty much is a band-aid that hacks the entire build and keeps it together. So that is pretty much your armor. The Headhunter is the armor. I like how mbXtreme mentioned it in the Faded podcast, that, by the way, I need to watch after this, that should a Magic Find Kinetic Blast build be able to finish 100% Deli map. He said it shouldn't, and I kind of agree to it. Like, it really shouldn't. 100% Deli maps are disgusting. I don't think it should, but how they could fix that, I have no idea. And also, it would be very risky for them to nerf Headhunter again next league. Like, that's just, they're just gonna shoot themselves in the knee twice. On the other side, we know that the next league will have nerfs, as far as I remember Chris talking about it. We will get nerfs. So the lovely place and the lovely game we have right now ain't gonna stay that way. And you know what? It's kind of good. It's a service game. It should change. It is not a product that you buy and play. But I hope you enjoyed this current league. My league review will be coming out probably in, I'm guessing, a month. So in the meantime, subscribe for other content. I make videos about indie games and other stuff. Please subscribe. I don't know what that was. Anyways, memes aside, I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. You know, the YouTube stuff, who cares? And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.